Welcome back, and before I start today I'd just like to give you a quick channel update. When I started this YouTube channel I wanted to do something that was useful and something that was a bit different. And from the recommendations I get on YouTube, it seems that every Farang and his dog has got a YouTube channel. And without being critical, I don't find that much very useful. They're all sort of roughly the same. And I didn't just want to be another Farang walking around with a camera. I wanted to sort of add some value and what could be more useful than language. And there don't seem to be many like Farang channels doing language. There are some Thai language channels. They seem to be done mainly by Thais, and there are some very pretty young Thai girls doing tutorials, and I'd much rather look at a pretty young Thai girl than an ugly old Farang like me. But the problem they have is that they don't really understand learning Thai from the perspective of a foreigner. So that's where I think I can add some more value. The problem with language is that so few people are interested. Before COVID there were supposed to be 40 million tourists visited Thailand, and there are tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of foreigners living in Thailand, and so few are interested in the Thai language. When I used to run a blog, I would occasionally put a language tutorial in, and one guy told me that whenever he saw one, and he lived permanently in Thailand, whenever he saw a language tutorial we'd just ignore it. And a guy I used to work with, for him it was like a sense of pride not to know anything about Thai. He regarded Thai as an inferior language and English as a better language, and just refused to learn Thai.
Do you know, Stanley and I have been coming here 15 years and we pride ourselves on never speaking a word of Spanish. Hey!
So, when I started the channel, I sort of was quite optimistic, but I got very few subscribers. So to improve that situation, I then started adding some videos about other things, and I got a few more subscribers. The problem now is I've got a mixed subscriber base. So there's people who are here because they want to learn about Thai language, and people are here because of other things. And that's not ideal, because if someone subscribes to Thai language and I do videos about other things, they tend to switch off or maybe unsubscribe, and vice versa. So it's not ideal, but that's the way it is, because I just couldn't get enough subscribers doing solely Thai language. So the last few videos I've done stuff about COVID and Hat Yai, and I did some stuff about problems in my house, but today I'm going to go back to Thai language. Thai, as with all languages, has some difficult and easy aspects. As you will have seen when we went through the 5 questions that foreigners can ask Thais, the grammar of the spoken language is quite simple. If we want to ask someone's name, it's just Chư Arai, which is a name what. There are no verb conjugations, no grammar articles, there are no separate singular and plural forms for nouns, no auxiliary verbs. A lot of the grammar that makes English a very difficult language to learn isn't in Thai. That's a good part. But there are difficult parts. Probably the most obvious is tones. You need to get the tone exactly right, otherwise it can change the meaning of the word. Personal pronouns are a bit of a minefield. Thai society is very hierarchical. So instead of just me and you, there are lots of different pronouns to reflect the importance of people in society, and also different degrees of politeness. I might do a video on it one day, but as I say, it's quite a minefield. And the other difficult area is one I'm going to cover today, which is classifiers. Classifiers aren't unknown in English, but in English we only use them for uncountable nouns. So you wouldn't go into a shop and just ask for a bread or a milk. You'd ask for a loaf of bread. In other situations it might be a slice of bread, bottle of milk, carton of milk, jug of milk, whatever. The difference in Thai is that every single noun has a classifier, whether it's countable or not. And you don't need to remember every single one, but you do need to remember certain ones that crop up a lot of the time. So here we have 4 questions and answers, and each noun has a different classifier. So I'll just show you how classifiers are used in Thai and teach you 4 classifiers. And the other day I mentioned that Thais use the word me, have, a lot in questions. So each of these questions will have is like a have question. And the first one is about how many cats someone has. So me, mao, gi, tua. And I've just put the polite particle at the end, krap. Me, mao, gi, tua, krap. So the classifier for mao, cat, is tua. And the answer would be song tua. So you answer using the classifier. Okay, next one is about how many children someone has. So mi lu, gi kong krap. And the Thai word for children is dek. But if you ask about someone's children, you don't use the word for children, you use like the word for offspring, which is lu. And the classifier for people is kon. So mi lu gi kon krap. And the answer might be song kon. Next, apples. And the classifier for fruit is lu, which is also the same word that Thais use for offspring. So mi apple gi luk krap, song luk. And finally, books. Mi nangสือ กี่เล่ม krap, song lem. As in all languages, there are rules, exceptions and inconsistencies. And in fact, for people learning English as a second language, there are far more exceptions and inconsistencies than Thai. English is a really tough language to learn. So rules, for example, you use the word pan for flat things, but it won't be the case with every single flat thing. So something I can think of will be DVDs or Blu-ray discs. If you go to your local market and get some pirated movies, the lady might ask you, like, DVD gi pan, because pan is the classifier for DVDs. But as I say, it's not every single flat thing. In the previous slide, I told you that the classifier for animals was tua. But in Thailand, elephants are very special animals. So they have a different classifier to normal animals because of their special status. So with elephants, it's shiak, which is the same word as string or rope. So with cat, it was mi mao gi tua. But with elephants, it will be mi chang gi shuak. And there are also inconsistencies. For egg, chicken egg, I was initially taught fong. My wife uses look, and you can also use buy. So if I go to the shop, which I do often to buy eggs, so the lady might say, how arai ka? And I'll say, kai gai, krap, not chicken's eggs. And she'll ask me, gi fong, or gi bai, or gi look. So for certain things, there are more than one acceptable classifier that can be used. There are frequent occasions when I don't know the classifier. It might be in general conversation or when I go into a shop to buy something. And fortunately, there's a bit of a get out of jail card. You can use the word as a kind of general classifier. It's not good practice to do that all the time, but if you're not sure about something, if you use it, then people will understand what you mean. With regard to learning classifiers, it's a bit like learning a European language where nouns will be either masculine, feminine or neutral, and you need to remember that. And like with German, you need to remember the gender of the noun plus the article, der, die or das. And it's the same with Thai and classifiers. So for every noun, you should really try to learn the classifier for that noun as well. Obviously, you can't learn them all, and you shouldn't try to learn them all, but all I've done over the years is just try to remember the ones that come up frequently. Any decent textbook should have a list of classifiers. For example, there's a good appendix in James Higby's Thai Reference Grammar. And the other thing is just to keep your ears open. So if you go into a branch of KFC in Thailand, and they're absolutely everywhere, and you ask for some fried chicken, gai top, the lady behind the counter will ask you gi shin. And even if you've never heard shin before, you will then know that the classifier for pieces of fried chicken is shin. And that's basically how I've learnt classifiers over the years. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you for watching, and there will be more videos soon.